Hello and welcome to day 13 of the Floral Craft Countdown, where I'm sharing 14 flower-themed Cricut projects in 14 days. Today's project is this gorgeous fold-out flower card. I've cut it from lots of metallic and glitter cards, so it's really shining in my camera lights. You can see when I turn it how much depth this has got to it. And it's done by having little single lines on the petals that are cut so you can fold them out to give a wonderful 3D appearance. But one card is not enough. With today's download, I've also given you this one. So it's very similar, but it's a slightly different flower, and this time I've gone with a silver and purple theme. Again, everything is metallic, so it's really shiny and beautiful. They make a lovely pair, or you can just choose your favourite and make that one. Let's get started. The files for this project are free for the next 24 hours. Here's how to download them. Register a free ticket for the Floral Craft Countdown at craftwithsarah.com/floral. After registering, you'll get an email which contains a link to the schedule page for the countdown. Visit the schedule page to find and download today's files. Each download is only available for free for 24 hours after it goes live. If you have missed some, check out the Instant Access Bundle at craftwithsarah.com/floral bundle, which gives immediate and ongoing access to all of the files from the Floral Craft Countdown, plus loads of extra bonus designs. The download comes in a zip folder. You will need to unzip this before uploading the SVG files into Cricut Design Space. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder and got the SVG into Design Space, this is what it will look like. If you're not sure how to upload SVGs into Cricut Design Space, check out the Foundation Learning section of this Craft Countdown for a separate tutorial and video on how to do that. Today's project comes with two different card designs, however they work in exactly the same way, so for this section of the tutorial I'm just going to show it to you as one of the cards. What's great about these card designs is you don't actually need to do anything with them. You can just load it in and then press make and get it all cut out and start putting it together super easy. However, one thing I like to do is to add a score line to the main card so that I know exactly where to fold it. To do that, click on the design and press the Ungroup button at the top of the Layers panel. And then we'll go and click the very bottom layer. Just move it out the way so we can see it easier. Go into Shapes and choose a score line. Make it the height of the card, which is 5.75 inches, and then drag a box around the score line and that base card to select them both, and press Align Center to put the score line exactly in the middle. Then, with those two layers still selected, press the Attach button at the bottom of the Layers panel. Attach is what tells the Cricut that we want it to do the scoring on this blue piece. Attaching moves to the top of the Layers panel, so now we need to go Arrange, Center Back to move it back to the bottom. And there we go. You might also decide that you'd like to change the colour for the design. To do that, you can look down at the colours in the layers here, click on the ones you want to change, for example, one of the blues, go into the colour box and change the colour in there. I like changing the colours in Design Space first, just to make sure I'm happy with how it's all looking before I start cutting into my cardstock. So for example, that one, I think a brighter red would be good. And I'm just going to keep going through all of these and changing the colours, going for a red and green theme instead, almost sort of Christmassy. And that one, and then also go into the Attach. And I'll change that one to a dark red too. So that was just a few clicks of the mouse, but the card is now looking drastically different to how it did before. When you cut out the design, I strongly recommend doing these background layers in either a metallic, a glitter, or a holographic card. Using something with a little bit of a shine to sit behind the petals will really add so much visual interest to your card, especially when the sunlight catches it and you get that lovely glow. If you don't want to use a gold like this one, you could choose silver instead. So to change it all, click on one of the layers, and then I'll go for just a simple grey to represent silver. Change the rest of the layers in one easy go by pressing Colour Sync at the top of the Layers panel. And then you can drag everything into that new colour and it changes all in one go. However, I'm going to do mine exactly as it loaded. So I'll just hit that undo button until all my colours are back to how they were originally. If you'd like to make an envelope to fit the card, then check the Foundation Learning section of this Craft Countdown. There is a link in there to a separate tutorial with free SVGs on how to make an envelope, and also the tutorial shows how to size the envelope design to perfectly match any sized card. The free envelope SVGs do not expire, so you can access those whenever you want to. I'm ready to cut this now, so I'll press Make over on the top. And that will separate out all the colours. You can change the paper size in here, and then you can move things about by clicking and dragging. When I change this to A4 card, it's now added a second sheet of that same colour, but I think I can fit that on the first sheet. Let's give it a try. To move things about, press the three little dots and then Move Object, and then you can choose the other one of the same colour and press Confirm. Then click on the new piece and you can drag it to move. Oh, it doesn't quite fit. Let's see, if I rotate, haha, there we go. All right, so you need to make sure nothing overlaps like that, otherwise it won't cut out properly. But you can see I actually can fit all of those on one sheet without any overlap, which means I then won't need to use a second material. If you do end up with empty ones like this, don't worry, when you click continue, they'll disappear. So go ahead, get everything looking exactly as you want it to cut, then press continue to connect to your Cricut machine and get everything cut out from cardstock. One thing to note is that if you are using glitter, metallic or holographic card for your background layers as recommended, you'll probably need to use a heavier cut setting than what you're used to, as the materials are often thicker than regular cardstock. I like to use the Craft Board setting, and that's craft spelt with a K. I find that manages to go through all my specialty cardstock just perfectly. Alright, so get it all cut out and then we'll see how to put together the fold out flower cards. Here's my card cut out, and I've used a lot of metallic and sparkle, which you can see if I hold it up to the light. So apologies if it's a little bit light catchy every now and then, but I wanted to make this really shine. I've laid everything on top of itself just to check that I'm happy with all the colours. I think it's looking lovely, so we can start sticking it together. Begin by attaching the base. I've already folded this in half, and then we've got these two bits to be glued on top. Start with the solid bit that doesn't have the corners cut out. This goes right in the middle of that card. Try and line it up straight. I'm really not very good at this part. There we go. Very, very shiny. And then next is this one to go on top, which again we'll glue. This will help cover up some of that shine for you, so it's not glaring in the camera light. There. Alright, so next we can start building up the flower. And it's up to you for the very bottom one if you glue it or use foam squares. I prefer to glue it because it's going to have lots of depth in it anyway. So I don't want it to become too thick. So I'll glue this one on. It doesn't really matter which way round you put it. There. And then we've got the two bits to make up the petals, starting with this one. And you see the petals will all kind of fold out where there's a single line cut, but it doesn't complete at the bottom, which means you can bend it outwards without it breaking and without those petals coming apart. For now, I'm going to go quite a long way up. We'll push it down a little bit once it's stuck. We just want to make it really obvious which parts not to add any glue to. So I'm just bending these out gently. Like that. There it is. And then turn it over and add some glue, but don't add glue on any of the bits you've just folded outwards. You can put it around the edge of the petals, like that, but not on the bits in the middle that have been bent outwards. Otherwise, you'll just glue them to your card and they won't fold out anymore. This is where the needle tip applicators on the Bearly Art glue really come handy because that's very thin. All right. Glue this into place. Push down gently, especially if you have put glue around those edges like I did, because you don't want to smush that glue out. If a little bit comes out, it doesn't matter too much because it does dry clear. But I'm going to try and be neat. Now I'll do a similar thing for the next petals. Poke these out. These flowers are symmetrical, so you don't need to worry about which exact way around you place them, which is helpful. And then once again, a bit of glue. There. And then this time, this will go to fill in the other petals. So it's a little tricky slotting it in. And then line it up, push those petals down gently. Try and get each one central in the gold, or whatever colour you've done it. There. Then gently just flatten out the petals a tiny bit to make the next bit easier. I mean, that even on its own is stunning. But we can add some more. Next is the smaller solid bit. And this time we'll add foam squares to the back. Now I don't want to put the foam too close to the very edge of the petals, otherwise all it's going to do is flatten them down on the ones we've already done. So instead I'm putting a collection of foam squares more in the middle. Peel the tops off to reveal the stickiness underneath. There we go. And then line this up. Again, it doesn't really matter which way around you put it. And this will flatten the petals out a bit, so don't worry. That's okay. Push down the middle bit where the foam is. And then you can sort of bend your petals out again around that inner section. And don't worry that they're not poking out as much as they did before, because we've still got the other layers to go on top. But there's still quite a lot of depth in that. And we'll add more now. So I've got my lighter pink bit, and now it's really just a repeat of what we did before. So I'll do this all sped up. This one first, and then the brighter pink on top. There we go. You can see that starting to take shape. And then we've got this bit, again with the foam squares just in the middle. Flatten these down a little so that there's room for this. And again, it will push some of those petals down a little bit, but that's okay. We can frill them out again. There we go. So still lots of depth. And then a bit more foam in the middle of this one. This one isn't to be folded out. You could frill the petals up a bit if you want to, and just kind of do this on the edge of them to give it a little bit of rounding, or you can leave it flat. Put that in the middle. Then the next one, the same thing. Try and line this up so the petals go in the gaps of the one underneath. And then this one, I'm going to foam it again. You could also glue it. Depends how thick you want it to get. There! So there's my fold out flower card. Looking gorgeous. It's so deep. It's a bit hard to show, but it's very, very pretty. And here's a look at the other one that you get with today's download. This time I've gone for a purple and silver theme. Again, everything is metallic. This one's a little different as there's only one bit in the middle, and it doesn't really lend itself to frilling the petals up like that, but still looks gorgeous. Look at that shine. These will fold fairly flat to go in an envelope if you want to post them or put them in an envelope, but they'll work better in a presentation box. That way it's got depth to it, which means the lid isn't going to push it down. So when the person you're giving it to opens up that box, everything's still going to be all folded out where we want it to be. To find a free SVG for a presentation box, as well as a tutorial and video on how to make it, check out the Foundation Learning section of this countdown, and there is a previous project in there which you can check out, and that also shows you how to size the presentation box to any size card, so you can make sure it's definitely going to fit these fold-out flower cards. That brings us to the end of day 13 of the Floral Craft Countdown, which means tomorrow is already the final day. But it's a very special project tomorrow, so make sure you don't miss it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut Craft projects. See you tomorrow. Bye!